especially if you get hit in the base of your head. Like one of the scariest kicks that you can get hit with, that a lot of guys get hit with, is neck kicks. You get necked. And when you get neck kicked, guys go down like they got shot. Like there's
because of what gets hurt.
It just shuts your brain off.
It's like this thing.
The shin,
the jugular punch thing.
No, it's the shin slams basically against the base of your skull. It's like really the back of the head.
The shin is basically a switchblade.
Yeah, it's
on your leg.
Here, Google this. Ernesto Hoost KO's Maurice Smith. Maurice Smith is a good friend of mine, and he's a former UFC heavyweight champion, former world Muay Thai fighter, Muay Thai champion. He's a bad motherfucker. But he fought this guy who's just one of the greatest of all time, Ernesto Hoost, and he got caught with a kick to his neck. And I knew like how tough Maurice is, and I knew how good of a fighter he is. So when you see a guy who's at the level that Maurice is, watch this.
Boop.
See how he threw that over the top of his head?
Top of his spine.
Yeah, and basically. It just shut Maurice off. Look at this. He slides on the outside, and he lifts his head up, and lifts his foot up, rather, and goes over the shoulder, where Maurice doesn't even see it coming until it's already too late, and it hits the back of his head. It's crazy.
And that's his foot, which isn't even that hard.
Well, it's still hard. It's Ernesto Hoost's foot, but it could be way worse. You're right. If it was a little bit further back, then it would have been his shin.
Like his shin, it's over.
But a lot of guys knock guys out dead cold.
Well, that's an illegal. You
foot.
Can't punch the back of the head in boxing, right?
But you can kick guys, and when you land, it oftentimes lands in the back of the head, and no one ever thinks there's anything wrong with it. It's real weird. It's a super gray area.
So you can't punch in MMA.
Exactly.
You cannot punch the back of the neck and head, but you can kick.
Exactly.
That's very odd.
It's so odd. Well, it's an issue with kickboxing as well, because some of the best techniques land on the back of the head. Like here's another one that does all the time too, wheel kicks. Like someone will throw a wheel kick, it's like a spinning heel kick, and they'll catch a guy, boom, right on the back of the head. It happens all the time. And technically it's an illegal place to hit someone, but because head kicks are like, that's sort of like the ultimate striking weapon. Like if you knock someone out, like knocking someone out with a head kick is like the ultimate striking weapon.
Yeah.
Because it's everything we always wanted to see in karate movies. You know, so because of that is so encouraged to like, whoosh, the guy just knocked him, he kicked him in the head. Holy shit. Because it's so encouraged, we don't think about the implications of kicking someone in the back of the head, which is probably way worse than punching someone in the back of the head.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time in kickboxing and all the time in MMA. It's one of those weird things where nobody wants to talk about it, but everybody knows it's the case. You're kicking a guy in a totally illegal spot. But
and
you're not
fighters acknowledge how double the standard is?
They all know it. They all know it for sure. Everybody knows it, especially everybody who's been hit by one of those or hit somebody with one of those. You know where you're hitting them. A lot of times you're hitting the back of the head.
Where can you punch if someone? You can punch all the back?
All over the body. You can punch the legs. You can't punch the groin. But you can punch somebody in the ass.
You can punch in the back?
You can punch them in the back. You can't punch the spine.
You cannot punch above the shoulders.
You can't elbow strike the spine. There's some weird rules. We were talking about this yesterday. Jamie and I looked up. Jamie said they came up with some new rules. And one of them involves knees to the head to a downed opponent. Now, a downed opponent means you have to have both hands down on the mat, and your palm has to be flat. You can't have just one. If you have one hand up, they can knee you in the face. So that's not a downed opponent, because there's a lot of people that were criticizing this downed opponent thing because people were sort of what they would call gaming the system, where you would lean down, you just touch your hand on the ground like as if it's safe, and then the guy can't hit you. So that's how you're getting out of exchanging.
Got it.
Instead of you're totally capable of standing up or totally capable of covering up. Like you can make your choice. Like you got to this position or he got you to this position. It's advantageous for him.
Feels like a fairly standard position.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But the issue becomes if you are incapable of getting out of the way, should you be able to knee a guy in the head? Because some guys, like when they're down like that, it's like, whoa, that's a devastating maneuver to knee a guy in the head when they're in that position.
Yeah.
So they for good reason, they wanted to decide when it should be legal, because there's other organizations where you could do crazy stuff like stomping people. You can stomp people, like stomp their head in certain organizations. That was a big one in Pride. You could soccer kick guys and stomp them. But oddly enough, they didn't allow elbows on the ground.
That's odd.
They felt elbows on the ground were barbaric or something. They had a line.
Yeah, that's everybody's good. Yeah.
People are so crazy with their lines that they draw.
Can I pee real quick?
Fuck yeah.
That's the Joe Rogan part where I have to go to the bathroom.
You're drinking that delicious Pellegrino.